Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Attention Please podcast, now on video. If you like the podcast, kindly like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. So today we will be talking about the popular topic after that AI thing, which none of you watched. I think it's I think it's time to leave all the intellectualism to the side and go for the lowest common denominator, which obviously is either Karnataka elections or IPL. I'm going to go with IPL because it has everything. And today I have a guest known simply as Max, not Sony Max, but Max. We had Max at the beginning of the season, so I thought it would be good to bring him back at the end to see how it, the good thing about video is it's a little difficult to screenshot and show people what they said before. So we will try to forget what we had predicted at the beginning of the IPL and just start with the deconstruction and analysis of how IPL went. I mean, I always feel that in a tournament like IPL, there shouldn't be a final. It should just be at the end of the league. Whoever is the top should be the winner. I mean, otherwise, why have this? Why have 2 months of this? I mean, Gujarat should just be declared winner. I think they'll in any case be declared the winner, but we could have just done it 4 games before. But let's talk about the failures, which obviously everybody likes to hear about, and the controversies. So without much ado, let's start with negativity. Max, which team out of all of them was the biggest disappointment?
So thank you for that introduction. I very well remember that episode that we did in December for the preview, and both you and me said unanimously that Rajasthan Royals is the team to beat this season. They are the finalists, not even the final 4. They are the finalists. And then we had other teams that we were thinking would come to the finals. And so the number 2, 3, 4, you and me had difference. But RR was the unanimous choice for number 1. And from there to now, if you see, they are not in the final week of the tournament. There cannot be a bigger disappointment this season than Rajasthan Royals for me. Because that is a team that that had everything going for them. There was no major holes in the team. And in fact, in the preview, when we spoke about it, is that one of the teams for whom the impact sub rule will work is going to be Rajasthan, right? I remember both of us said that. So everything was supposed to work for them. This was, Joe Root was going to get a game, was going to play. We had both said that Zampa would play at Chennai. He did. He won the game for them. Everything is going to plan. But here we are. We are in the finals week, and Rajasthan is not here, right? So that.
Why do you think that happened? And let's keep Riyan Parag to the side because we all knew how that was going to turn out.
Yeah, Rajasthan has been a team last year. They were in the finals last year. They have a team of 10 players in Riyan Parag. Right? That is how they were. But they had this problem of 6 and 5. Right? They reached despite reaching the final, and they were found in the final also because of that problem is the 6 and 5. They have 5 bowlers, come what may. They are the ones to bowl. Anyone has a bad day, you're screwed. The reason why they were so successful last year is because one guy, Joseph Butler, had like a monstrous season of 800 runs or something that last year. This year, he did not show up. I think this year he is in the less than 400. I think 390 or something is what he had, right? So, and that includes 5 ducks. Right, so he had a very middling season. By his standards, it's a disaster. Just to interrupt,
I PP'd him on all those 5 ducks.
He was my fantasy team as well. So the jinx has carried across.
All 5 times. Because I thought this time he will score a century.
Yeah, I mean, he cannot have like a Kohli kind of a season, right? No, okay, 1 duck, he'll come back the next game. He'll come back. And I think it all started from that that game against GT, where Shami got him. Because until then, he was going good. Once Shami got him, then the complete decline started for them. So that was one. And then, like I said, right, they actually filled their hole, that 6 and 5 hole.
By the way, let me interrupt you. He did run himself out to save Jaiswal.
Yes. They got Jason Holder, which we thought, was going to be a good thing. Now they actually have a 7th batter and a 6th bowler, which is even better for them. But yeah, this season has been completely, they've been doing things that nothing makes sense. Now, I also am a guest on another podcast called Bits and Pieces, where I had said this, and I got a lot of flack for, is that Sanju Samson is the Jayadrat of the IPL, wherein every season there will be 2 or 3 games where he will excel so well that everyone will be wondering, why is he not in blue playing for the Indian national team in the white ball format? And the remaining 10 games of the season, he will give you the answer himself as to why he is not in there. So that is also another thing that happened to them, right? So he had the 2 brilliant innings. The one innings where against Gujarat, where he helped them chase down. The other one against your favorite Kolkata, where he's like chakka maar and he took them to the win. But other than that, he was not there, right? And then the same thing happened with Simran. Simran was good for the first few games. I think they won 4 out of 5 in that first half, where we thought they are running away with the tournament. But then in the last 6, they lost 5. And Simran was completely missing there. So all that comes together. And I think that 59 game, man, like it was so sad to watch that 59 game. Yeah, that there has been nothing more disappointing than being an RR fan. If there are people who are RR fans, you really feel bad for them. They have no excuse to give. At least as a CSK fan, we can say, we got our most expensive players are injured. Stokes is injured. Chahar is injured. We have to bring Rahane out of the test team and say, sir, can you please play for us? We have no players. We are, tukdo pe pal rahe kind of teams we are. Same thing for Mumbai. Like Piyush Chawla, we have to bring out of doing commentary and say, sir, can you come and play? Those teams are making it, and a team which has everything going for it is abysmal. Like nothing is coming together. So yeah, it was very, very disappointing that.
So you're right. I mean, for me, I think Butler, the loss of Butler's form was kind of balanced by Yashasvi Jaiswal, right? Yashasvi Jaiswal has had a very good tournament. So I think it was kind of balanced out. I think what the major problem with Rajasthan Royals was, Rajasthan Royals had 2 main problems. One was their problem started after Sanju Samson. So I think Hetmeyer had a very, very poor tournament. If you look at when they went to the final, Hetmeyer, and I know this because I play fantasy league. So Hetmeyer was usually one of the safest picks to have. So they basically had the opposite problem of Kolkata. Kolkata, none of their top order showed up, but their middle order showed up. They were different. So their top order, usually one of the 3 would have runs. When none of them had runs, they were all out for 57 or whatever. That's what used to happen. That's their problem. And the second problem is Bolt wasn't at his best. And I think their seam bowling was really, really poor. So I think their spin was fine, but their seam bowling was just so poor. And for KKR is an example of what happens when your seam bowling is that bad. Because otherwise, KKR had a fairly good year. I'm almost afraid to say that. But they had like 2 main problems. And I think Rajasthan Royals also had very similar problems. The only thing is the difference between KKR and RR is RR started off with the best team on paper. KKR started off with a crappy team on paper from the very beginning because they screwed up options. But RR didn't do that. I think also they didn't use Holder particularly well. I think there was a lack of faith in Holder as a batsman. Holder was coming in to bat after Ashwin. I wondered why. I mean, what has happened?
Parag, Ashwin, and then Jason Holder.
What has happened to Holder that he's coming after Riyan Parag and Ashwin? I mean, he definitely should transfer out of the franchise just because of that insult. So again, his bowling wasn't great either, but I think that they should have at least used him as a batsman. He's definitely quite a decent batsman. He's definitely not a guy who should be coming after Ashwin and Parag. Again, Riyan Parag, they will always play. He's like their lucky talisman or something. I mean, but I don't understand why he keeps playing. But I think nobody does at this point of time.
They even played games in Guwahati for him.
So they really love him. So for me, the biggest disappointment was, I mean, I don't think that I was expecting SRH to do anything. So by the way, last year when I had said that SRH was screwed up their auction even more than KKR, that video of mine got like, in nowadays in YouTube, you can't see the dislikes. So people can't see the dislikes, but the video owner can. So they can see the percentage. So normally I have a like 96 to 97% like. That video where I analyzed SRH had 50% likes and 50% dislikes. That should tell you something. First of all, pretty much everybody who saw that video, I'm guessing, was an SRH fan. So the SRH thing I'd said at that point of time, this was last year, and I said they perhaps did a little bit better, but the problem is what happens is in the mega auctions, if you screw up majorly, you can't catch up. That's the problem. I mean, what is the biggest problem? The biggest problem is they don't have any Indian batsmen. They do not have any solid Indian batsmen. They tried, but that obviously didn't work this year. I felt Harry Brook would be better, but when again, the only team he beat the leather off was, of course, Kolkata Knight Riders, obviously. But because Kolkata Knight Riders bowling was absolute shit. But other than that, the main thing was, first of all, I think Brian Lara is not a good coach. That's one thing. I don't think he was a good captain either. If there is any great player who was worse than Sachin as a captain, it was Brian Lara, to be honest. And they had him. I don't understand this thing about SRH where they feel, let's look at the greatest cricketers of the 90s and let's make them our coaches. So let's make Muralidharan our bowling coach. Let's make VVS Lakshman our batting coach. The only difference was Tom Moody. I think they should have kept Tom Moody. I think what pissed off SRH fans was I'd said that, they treated David Warner very badly. And I'd also said that my hypothesis was that's why Rashid Khan didn't want to play for them. Because there is no way they let Rashid Khan go on their own, because they didn't offer that. They offered that to Kane Williamson. So obviously nobody in their right mind, I'm not saying SRH is that far gone, that they would offer their top spot to Kane Williamson and not to Rashid Khan. I'm absolutely sure they offered it to Rashid, because Rashid Khan is by far the best T20 player in the world. If you see other franchise cricket, he dominates every tournament he plays. Like for the Adelaide Strikers, there in that pitch, here, everywhere. He's just a match winner. So consistently, the only thing he's not below 25. I saw him in this list of like best IPL players below 25. That is where I will have some issue. But other than that, there is no other. So I'd said that the problem with a franchise is that at some point of time, I believe that people just, these are good cricketers, right? They want to play at a place where they're comfortable playing. I think one of the biggest reasons for success of CSK is it's a franchise where cricketers feel comfortable. It's a very comforting franchise for many people. Dhoni doesn't chop and change. He plays with the same guys. And even if you're arthritic and can barely get up, he will still, play you as long as you meet you listen to him, he's fine. So I think people look for that kind of stability. And the problem is SRH did not give their players any kind of stability. They chopped and changed. They went with Kane Williamson. Okay, they said, okay, we're going to go with Kane Williamson. And they let him go. They blew everything on Puran, right? And in one season, they were done with him. They said, no, I don't care for him anymore. So unfortunately, you can't do that. While Kolkata Knight Riders takes it to an extreme and keeps Russell for years after he's gone by sell-by date, which, it's a nice thing. You want to be loyal to your players, but there is something called taking it too far. I think SRH has taken it to the other extreme. And I think it showed this year. I don't think there was any point of time. Every team had a chance this time to get into the top 4, except Delhi. Delhi started out so pathetically that they were basically out of the tournament very soon. They actually came back pretty well, but the moment they decided they can't play Prithvi Shaw anymore, once they took that call, it was fine. But SRH never looked like a team that would make it. It never looked like a team that would make it. And they had some 1 or 2 good performances from Vivant Sharma, Abdul Samad. But somebody, as you can see, the top 4 teams, the thing that unites them is that they have consistent performers. Not people who show up for 2 games, or like Harry Brook shows up for 1 game, or even look at KKR, they didn't qualify. Why? Because there's only one person essentially who was showing up for all games, right? And he almost made it, right? One person almost made it. Very unlikely person, but he did it. But Rajasthan Royals, there was no constant person who kept on showing up. And SRH, there was no person who I could even believe could show up. I mean, the guy who actually played their best was the person who I felt was their worst choice, their keeper. I thought, why did they keep this guy? And I'd also said that Aiden Markram last season, I said, he is not a T20 player. He's not a person who can be your lead T20 guy. He is the guy who sits on the benches, might play 1 or 2 games. But to give him the captaincy, that too, to give a guy like him captaincy, I mean, what kind of face are you putting up for a franchise? You had David Warner, right? Who was, such a character, and you won your tournaments. I think their bowling, they kind of were relying on their bowling, but their bowling failed. I don't know what's happened to Umran Malik. So, no idea. But I also think that he lost, Brian Lara lost faith in. I think that came out in one of his press conferences. So anything you want to add about your second favorite franchise, SRH?
So, no, SRH was my second biggest disappointing franchise because I actually also had them in my top 4. On paper, if you looked at that team, because in this auction, they got Mayank Agarwal. So we're like, okay, Abhishek Sharma, Mayank Agarwal, Rahul Tripathi is a pretty good top 3. And then Markram, Klaasen, and again, Markram, Klaasen, both these guys had come from winning the SA20, right? They won the SA20. Markram for Hyderabad, captained it there because I was also skeptical like you, but he had captained the SA20. He has come in winning. Mark Janssen is there. And then they have Samad. And then they have the core Indian bowling of Bhuvi, Natarajan, Umran, and Mayank Markande.
And Sundar.
And Washi, yes. So on paper, this was a good top Final 4 finish team. And I have this theory of, if you look teams in the IPL, right? You can put them in 3. Captain run teams, coach run teams, and owner run teams. The captain run teams are pretty obvious. Chennai.
You're wearing a jersey.
Yes. And your Mumbai and all of this. Your coach run teams are your Sangakkara, Ponting, Chandrakant Pandit. Those are your coach run teams. And your owner run teams are SRH and Punjab. Because think about last year, no one knew why Warner was sitting with a flag in the stand, not even in the dugout. This is a player, your franchise captain who has won you multiple titles is sitting with a flag in the stands. No one knows why. And even this year, Umran wasn't playing. And when asked at the toss to Markram, Markram says, I don't know why. Now, the captain of the team does not know why a certain player is or is not in his playing 11. Is a very, very disturbing thing for any team. Forget franchise cricket, even like in club cricket where I am playing, if my captain knows who is in the team and who is not in the team. Like we have a manager, who pays for the team and gets us jerseys and stuff. But the captain knows, right? And he is coming out and telling at the toss, I don't know why Umran is not in the team. Itself is a problem, right? And that is where I think, like SRH has this whole, and I'm totally with you, right? Greatest players don't make the best coaches or captains, and you've seen that multiple times across all formats of the game in national as well as franchise cricket. But I don't want to put too much on Lara. I just don't see why. It's that whole thing of like you can, and it's a very simple. SRH and Punjab, right, are very, very similar in their DNA, in their structure, in their auction strategy, because both of those teams went with an empty purse. We'll clear out the house, we'll bring people again, and again we'll clear out the house and bring people again. Right? They've been on that role. And just because you put together a bunch of players, and like I said, that first choice playing 11 is a very good playing 11. You ask anyone, they'll say, yeah, this is a very good team. But just because you bring people together, it's that mahol or that environment that you create. Because Robin Uthappa, I think, was the one who said that when you play for CSK, you forget about everything. You just want to go and play. You feel like playing for a franchise, right? I am not sure even one person in that SRH franchise will say that I feel like playing for this franchise, or I feel like I can't wait to come back next year. And all the same comments hold for Punjab as well. Not a single Punjab player is going to say, I feel like, coming back to the franchise. I can't wait to come back next year. Right? Last year, CSK and MI were at 9 and 10. Yet at any press conference or anywhere, you didn't see, Rohit or Dhoni in any sort of, anger, panic or anything. They didn't clear out the house. They're like, yeah, it's fine. It happens. And now where are they? They are number 2 and number 3. By that logic, SRH and DC are not going to become 2 and 3 next year. But it tells you, it's you can see the trend there.
So since you brought up Punjab, how would you compare Punjab to SRH? I mean, you did compare, but I think Punjab had a much better season in the sense that at least they threw up some new stars. I think one of the main reasons why we love IPL, besides, of course, all the fun and frolic, is because it throws up Indian stars. And it provides, like, growing up in the 90s, for those of you who remember, there was a guy called Atul Bedade, right? So Atul Bedade was a guy who was not really ready for international cricket, but he would have been an IPL superstar. So India is such a big country. There is quite a few players who might never make it to the test or one day 11, but who should have a very successful and popular career. The country has the size to support that.
Yeah.
And we never had that. So the great thing about IPL is there are some IPL only players sometimes, and some of them break out into the main league, but not a lot of them can. So this time at least there were a few in Punjab who played quite a few. I wasn't expecting, and on the fantasy leagues they were all like people at price 5 or 6, like really cheap people to get into the team. I think they did fairly well in terms of at least creating a few new batsmen and new faces, which I don't think SRH did that either. They actually, Umran Malik's career, Natarajan's career, they're all kind of sliding back. They were all kind of breakout stars, but they're all sliding back. Same with Washington Sundar, right? So that's even worse with SRH. It's not so much, okay, SRH lost. Who cares, really? Who cares? But it's just the players that they have, that the players are also backsliding. That to me is a bigger concern.
Yeah, and a lot of capped players, right? They're all capped players.
They're all capped players now. They're all capped players. And, Abdul Samad was somebody they retained, if you remember.
Yes.
So he was somebody who they believed was like worth having. And he very rare, he like plays some games, doesn't play some games. So with Punjab, at least, I think that at least they had some constant, I mean, it was about 80% of the team was fixed. I think where they kind of messed up was in their bowling. I think they majorly messed up. I think their batting wasn't that bad. Again, the problem was they were being led by, there was no match winner. Like, there was no consistent match winner in their top 6 batsmen. I mean, Dhawan had started off well, but then he tapered off. And it happens. I mean, Dhawan is a great IPL player, if you look at his record. But, he's getting to the end of his career, and just on a tournament as big as this, just the physical strain of it starts showing. He got injured, and then he never quite came back. But it was all dependent on the experience of Dhawan. I mean, Livingstone is a sophisticated Yusuf Pathan. And like one of the shots, I don't know if you remember. So the amount of force he puts in to this shot, that there's a shot which Livingstone plays, if you have seen him bat, which I have seen him bat in BBL. That's really his go-to shot. It is like the shot you play in Paral games, right? It is like absolutely strength, brute strength. He just uses his brute strength. There is no timing, nothing. If you see when he misses the ball, he just held his arm, because like his entire body basically twists. The ball has to hit the bat. If it misses, then he's in trouble, because he's basically put everything into it. It's like chopping wood and then there is no tree. So what will happen? So that's there's no timing. I mean, even Russell has more timing than he does. This guy is just pure power. And like he had only one good game, and even that game he couldn't win the game for them. So I don't think there was anybody in the top, but I think their bowling was the one that really let them down this time.
No, 100%. So see, my barometer for generally is that 400 is what I put saying. How many batters do you have who have scored more than 400 for you, right?
Mhm.
So RR only had Jaiswal. SRH only had Klassen, who went past 400. Punjab does not have anyone who went past 400. The only one who got closest was Dhawan at 370 or 372, 373 or something like that, right? So he was the only one who got close to 400. Forget even breaching 400.
But
And
he
that
didn't
is,
play a few games.
yeah, and he didn't play all the games. He missed three games, I think. So he's only played like 10 or 11 games, and he has gotten to 370. So in that included 350s, right? Included 350. So Dhawan actually has a very steady. So when they made Dhawan the captain, I was expecting another Gautam Gambhir kind of at Kolkata kind of thing. The guy will come, he will open, he will score a 50, and then he will expect the remaining team to come up. But no one else stepped up. So he was doing his job. So the games that he played, he was scoring 40, 50, 35s and all that. But after that, it was like a
He
complete.
also didn't have Bairstow. I think Bairstow would have made slight. I mean, Bairstow is a pretty good IPL player.
But also their tactics never made sense. Sikandar Raza wins them a game. He is the player of the match, but then next game they don't play him. Their tactics didn't make sense for a lot of times. And also the biggest thing is, if you look at their bowling, like I said, the batting was not that much to speak of. The bowling was supposed to be really good because you have KG, you have Arshdeep, you have Sam Curran, and Rahul Chahar, right? And the first three all went for an economy of around 10. Now, if these guys are going for around 10, that means every game you're chasing 200 or you're conceding 200. And Rahul Chahar actually had a pretty good season. But
by the way, Punjab made a lot of 200 plus scores, but they couldn't spend it.
Because their batting would start from Jitesh, Livingston, Shahrukh, Karan. That was their middle order, which was good. That engine was there. And on the top, they couldn't figure out their top, right? So their first three with Taide and Prabh Simran did get 100 or something, but it was not making sense. So
Arshdeep was the mystery to me, because Arshdeep was definitely their best bowler last season. And this time, for some reason, the coach lost faith in Arshdeep, because at the end, on a seaming pitch, they had Sam Curran opening the bowling and not Arshdeep. They had Harpreet Brar bowling the last over, not Arshdeep. So it seemed that Arshdeep, who kind of was establishing himself as like the death bowler specialist for the India team,
exactly,
suddenly considered not even good in a bad Punjab team to open the bowling and to finish the innings. So I don't know what happened there.
And Arshdeep's is very interesting because he was in the race for the purple cap. The first 10 wickets that he got, he was faster than Shami and Yuzi and all that. So it was Shami, Yuzi, Arshdeep who were in that thing for the first, and that he got those 4 wickets against Mumbai. It was looking good. And then suddenly the second half of the tournament, he just tapered down. And Rabada didn't, I don't know. This is one of the premier fast bowlers in the world, just doesn't show up. Sam Curran, right? Player of the tournament at the World Cup. Your premier death bowler. And so you're thinking about you're going to open with Rabada, and then the death you're going to have to deal with Arshdeep and Sam Curran. It is a nightmare for any chasing team, and 3 guys didn't show up.
So this is what I find so fascinating about IPL, is that good players don't show up in badly managed franchises, and let's just say players who you don't expect show up in the well-managed franchises, right? So Mr. Test player who was abandoned by everybody, including Kolkata Knight Riders, comes swinging against Kolkata Knight Riders. This is like an innings which, I mean, after the Rinku Singh one was the most stunning innings, because we were not expecting that. It was like ending of usual suspects, because this wasn't what was supposed. I mean, we've seen this guy play for like more than 10 years now for Rajasthan Royals. He never played like this. So this is what happens when, Surya Kumar Yadav, right? He goes to Mumbai Indians, he becomes a different player. Shubman Gill goes to Gujarat Titans, becomes a different player. So players who don't show up at some of these franchises when they go to other places. So this is what I find really unique about, and this happens consistently. It's not a one-off. That good players just play badly in badly managed franchises. It's not. I'm pretty sure if Sam Curran goes back to Chennai, he would have had a much better year. Much better.
100%. Yeah, it's that environment, right? You feel like playing because you're not always every game. You're not looking behind your back saying what is going to happen, right? Sikandar Raza plays one game, he's dropped. Matthew Short plays another game, he's dropped. Someone else plays. Like I think it was Harpreet Singh. Was it Harpreet Singh who made that 50 in the Mumbai game? He was the one who who was mistaken for Harmeet Singh and could miss the thing, and there was like a 10-year gap in his career. He scores a 50, and the next game he's not there. So if you're every game you're looking behind, like, am I going to play? Am I playing for my team? Like, it's not a very fun environment for them to be. Versus, at CSK you go say, yeah, you'll play 4 games. Doesn't matter.
That's why I actually want a coach like Chandrakant Pandit, because I think one of the problems that happens when you have a foreign coach, and who was the coach for, I've forgotten, who used to be the KKR coach, who's the coach for
Trevor Bayliss is the current
Trevor
coach.
Bayliss. So what I believe, so Trevor, the propensity of some Australian coaches is to bring second or third rate players from Australia and give them a much longer rope than much better players from India, just because they don't know them. So I think there is a language problem sometimes. There's a cultural problem. And so I think a coach like Trevor Bayliss would normally just talk to Dhawan and to the Australian players and to the English players. So there is, I think they basically take the call. This is actually, I think, also happened to SRH, because I think at the end, SRH was kind of being run like KKR in the second season, when it was just basically John Buchanan and every foreign player and John Buchanan. They were like first 4 batsmen were foreign batsmen. So that is what I think one of the problems with, I think that if Arshdeep's, I think with a coach like Kumble, they would have done better with somebody like Arshdeep. So my main concern was that Arshdeep's career is kind of being finished in that franchise, which again, as an Indian fan and the cricket that really matters, you don't really want that. Which brings us to Delhi. I still haven't talked about Kolkata, but I'll leave the best for the last. So with Delhi, what do you think happened to Delhi? I mean, they didn't come last, which was a surprise. That was a twist, because I thought they were going to. But the interesting thing is they started out terribly and they kind of redeemed themselves at the end.
So Delhi, so when we did the preview, right, the the Rishabh Pant incident had not happened yet.
No,
so that was a huge loss for them. But even despite that, given the team that they were going to put out, I still thought that they were going to be contenders. They were going to be like a number 4, number 5 kind of a team, which could still go, because on paper, that was a pretty good side. Also, on the back of a domestic season where Prithvi Shaw and Sarfaraz were scoring runs for fun, Khairat mein aaye hain, like they were just scoring runs like heavily. So it was like, okay, you have 2 powerhouse Indian players, and because Indian players come at a premium, right? As we've seen with all the other teams who have been heavily reliant on their foreign talent, their Indian players were coming in red hot form. So then you're thinking, okay, Warner, no matter what, will always dial in. Even when he's dialing it in, he is at least at a 450 plus. When he's doing well, he's a 600, 650. But if he's just phoning it in, he's still 450 at least. So that is a bank. And then you have Shaw, you have Sarfaraz, you have Mitch Marsh, you have Robman Powell, who is the captain of the West Indies white ball team.
You have Akshar
Patel coming off the great WTC and all that. And so this is a set team. And then look at the bowling attack. You have Nortje, you have Kuldeep, and Akshar, spin twins. They are the best spinning attack outside of Rajasthan, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have Khalil, you have Sakaria. And I had not even counted Ishant Sharma. Ishant Sharma, I thought, was just going to sit in the back saying, "Acha beta jao."
This is Nehraji. He's going to be the next Nehraji, next coach.
Correct. But so that was a pretty formidable side, even without Rishabh. But then no, Shaw has completely forgotten how to bat. Sarfaraz cannot even hold the bat. That entire team just collapses, and then they don't know who's keeping wickets. Sarfaraz is keeping wickets in one game. In fact, they got this kid, Abhishek Porel, who actually kept pretty well. In fact, he probably took one of the catches of the tournament, if you remember that diving catch and all that. But then they didn't persist with anyone.
I think he's from Bengal. I mean, he's one of the very few players who play. I think he's a Bengal Ranji player.
They even got Manish Pandey in, right? Delhi is the team that has played 22 out of 25 players on the roster. Despite all of this Nanganach, Lungi Ngidi did not get a game. And they have tried everyone except Lungi Ngidi. I don't understand why.
So I think there was one of the things that people say is why is Sarfaraz not playing despite his great record recently, and you could see now why he doesn't play. So there's sometimes we knock our selectors, but this is the reason, right? There are certain players who I believe, and I think Sarfaraz might be one of them, unfortunately, who just can't make it to the next level. Okay, so one example that always comes to my head is a blow to the chest, Mr. Mr. Badrinath, who was, legend in Ranji Trophy, but he could never he did play for CSK, but he was always that kind of Malcolm in the middle kind of role in CSK also. So he was never like a match winner. He was there. But the fact is, Sarfaraz was at one point of time retained by RCB. This was he was retained by RCB and then he didn't play. So it was bizarre that people retain him, pay for him, and then just before the game, they don't play him. So they suddenly realize something about him and they stop playing him. So I don't know what it is about Sarfaraz. I mean, at what point of time it was reputed his weight and his fitness was why.
Imagine, it was Kohli, Gale, AB and Sarfaraz.
Yes.
In the list.
And Sarfaraz, even we had Kohli going like this when Sarfaraz, he was such a young boy at that point of time. He was playing like that. And which also brings us to Prithvi Shaw. So Prithvi Shaw started off like Prithvi Shaw, and now his career is like Deepal Shaw. For those of you who remember from mid-2000s, there was a movie star called Deepal Shaw. So Prithvi Shaw is nowadays more famous for getting into fights with like Instagram influencers. And he is like this generation's Vinod Kamble. I mean, Shubman Gill and him are like Sachin and Kamble. And I actually thought when Sachin and Kamble started that Kamble would be the more famous guy. I mean, Kamble would actually be is actually the more talented guy than even Sachin when he started off. But then we all know where that landed. It was basically not because he was lacking talent. Nobody ever said that. But it was just that he couldn't keep his mind on the game. It was just the fame was just too much for him. The discipline that's needed. And this is where I want to talk about Rinku Singh. When he bats, you'll see his face, right? His face, there is a calm serenity that comes into his face when he goes at the end. You see Russell going like this. Rinku Singh has no expression on his face. And that's like a person who's just calming himself down. I mean, obviously, as we can imagine that his season, his entire career is hanging on a thread, right? And he's facing everything. He's a poor man and he's facing everything. This is it. I mean, he's been a meme for so long. That game against Gujarat, right? One ball and he's done. His career is done for. But he doesn't, right? And he would have won the game against Pune if he had just taken that 2 runs. Firstly, I don't think anybody whose name starts with Yash and who bowls left-handed should be bowling. I think Pune should have learned that from the last game, that Yash left-handed don't. So the difference between him and Prithvi is that Prithvi Shaw is a tremendously talented person, but he has a big technical problem. I think the reason why Delhi did badly, which is why I've left them with Kolkata Knight Riders, is because the difference is Delhi had a better team on paper than Kolkata Knight Riders, but they had the same problem, which is Delhi had no opening to speak of. When they persisted with Prithvi Shaw for a while, and the time that they persisted with him, by that time the tournament was over. When they got Phil Salt in, which is when they started winning, it was too late. And obviously, when Prithvi Shaw had been retained by them, right? He was like their Shubman Gill. So I'm pretty sure Gujarat would have done the same thing, right? You can't just drop your premium marquee player. You just can't do that. So I don't think there was anything that Ricky Ponting could have done till at the end he actually had to drop Prithvi Shaw. When he came back, he played a decent innings in the last game, because I think, free of some of the, I think with Prithvi, it is a psychological thing also. So I think that when he kind of is more relaxed, he's a better player. But unlike Rinku, who I think has great control over himself, I think Prithvi Shaw is like all over the place. It's a mental thing for him now. And I think one of the things we've realized is that if you look at the top 4 teams that have gone in, one of the things that usually they do very well is the top 3 are pretty consistent. See, Kolkata Knight Riders, which brings us to the last thing. And you see, Max is wearing his team Chennai Super Kings, while I'm wearing X-Files, I Want to Believe. This is my dedication to Kolkata Knight. Firstly, I don't have a Kolkata Knight Riders jersey, but this is what I wanted to believe in Kolkata Knight Riders. And Kolkata did well. I think it did much better than what I had expected them to and the team that they had. And one of the reasons, and just like Mashrafe Mortaza did it once, where he basically gave 21 runs to Rohit Sharma in the last over, which was a game which KKR were winning. There was no way that Deccan Chargers could have won that game. Nowadays, scoring 21 runs in the last over is not a big thing. I mean, everybody thinks that they can score 21 runs. But in the second season of IPL, 21 runs was an impossibility in those days to score. But Mashrafe Mortaza, who was bought for $675,000, played only one game and gave 21 runs in the last over to Rohit Sharma. So this time it was Liton Das. See, Kolkata Knight Riders would have qualified if it hadn't been for Liton Das. One game, Liton Das single-handedly gave it to Delhi. Single-handedly, one guy. I mean, it's maybe not right to blame one person, but you've seen the game, it was him only and him. And I think that the franchise became so pissed off with him that they dropped him, and he actually left in a huff. So he was not supposed to leave, but he left. And that was when they'd gotten Jason Roy, I think, in exchange for Shakib. And they got this other guy, what was his name? The guy who didn't play, the West Indian guy, in exchange for Liton at the end. So the thing is, they're not coming back. So Liton Das isn't coming back. And I think, that usually doesn't happen, right? One player comes in and does such a terrible job that the franchise is like, I will never play you again. And that was what Liton Das was for Kolkata Knight Riders. I hope that Shakib comes back. I wish that they had kind of, instead of Russell, we had Shakib, but because Russell didn't bowl, at least Shakib would have bowled. But Russell didn't bat either much. So with Kolkata, I think the puzzling thing was they absolutely screwed up on their transfers. So they busted their bank on Loki Ferguson. So the reason why I think they spent a lot on Loki Ferguson was that the Kolkata Eden pitch has changed since 2019. So when Kolkata Knight Riders team was always based on spinners and on a 150, 160 pitch. That was their thing. So the moment in 2019 when the pitch changed, and then for most of after that with COVID and with other stuff, we haven't played that many games on Eden. So their team is still kind of carrying. So Russell was again the odd person out. Russell wasn't the guy for Eden. He was the guy at Chinnaswamy. So he was the away guy and Narayan was the home guy. That was the main thing. So he couldn't bat in Eden, of course, on that pitch, because Russell, if the ball turns, he can't do anything. So, but this time what happened was that's why they went with Shardul and they went with Loki. So they wanted so Kolkata has this thing that we need 150 guy. They've always gone for that. From Shoaib Akhtar down to went to Brett Lee, And then, of course, they had Pat Cummins. They always want somebody, a 145, 150 guy who they're willing to break the bank for. So they went with Loki. Now, I had said that they should have gone with Loki the previous season instead of Pat Cummins. So between the two, they should have gone with Loki. He was cheaper. So, but then they realized, and then they took Loki back. And Loki again didn't show up. Nothing that they could have done about it. He had a terrible year. What was perplexing was Shardul Thakur. Because Shardul Thakur, firstly, is an Indian player, right? He's not, so there's not a, I mean, Loki, if he was an Indian player, would have definitely gotten more games. I mean, he's obviously a better player than Vaibhav Arora. Even a bad Loki is better than Vaibhav Arora in terms of class. But Shardul Thakur in one game didn't bowl. What was he playing as a batsman? Many times, Andre Russell didn't bowl. So why is Andre Russell playing? And I think the worst thing that they did, and I was kind of disappointed with Chandrakant Pandit also. I mean, I hope that he's taking these decisions, is in the last game when KKR needed to make like 170 runs in 10 overs or something, which again is impossible. But I mean, ultimately you want to do it in 10 overs, right? So why wouldn't you send Andre Russell to open the innings along with Jason Roy? I mean, those are your two best batsmen, right? In terms of that kind of situation. The pitch is good to bat on. So it's not as if it's a spinning pitch. I mean, all that, and their bowling attack also isn't that great. I mean, Pune. So all that Russell needs is, to score in the first 10 overs. If they can, let's say, score 100 runs. With five overs, they score 100 runs. Not impossible, has been done. Then it's fine. 70, you can easily make. The rest can make 5 overs, they can make 70. They have the, so you basically invert your batting order, you send them, and then you send Rinku. You send Rinku one down. Rinku is in super form. I mean, there's no reason why Rinku has to bat in the 14th over. He can bat there. So this didn't make sense. I mean, it was not as bad as not sending Pollard out, like Mr. Tendulkar once did in sending Pollard. I mean, that is legend. But Kolkata Knight Riders didn't make sense. But I have to say, Rinku Singh, when he won everybody's hearts, I hope he can carry his form into the next season. I mean, sometimes it happens that the next season, it happened for Venkatesh Iyer. So I'm worried for Rinku that way, because what happens is now people will seriously study him. So he's always been under the radar, right? And so now the next year, people will absolutely come prepared with Rinku's hitting arc. Like, that's the problem with Russell, like he's been studied so long, and he's kind of not a very multi-dimensional player. He's not like an ABDV that he can go and play this shot, that shot. So he can't, right? There are only few things he can play. So he's been worked out. My worry is with Rinku being worked out, but man, what a season he had. He was the story of IPL.
So my thing with Kolkata is this, right? And I think that in the mega auction, 3 teams made huge mistakes: Chennai, Mumbai, and Kolkata, wherein they held on to their aging stars, right? And what happened was 2 of those teams fell to the bottom. Pollard and Bravo were just not going to happen. Both of those teams fell to the bottom. That did not happen to Kolkata. Kolkata was not at the bottom, which is why what Mumbai and Chennai do immediately, okay, we need to offload these guys. Both of you, please retire, become coaches on the team. We'll keep you on the team, but we need to go reinvent. And they did, and they went and got players. That didn't happen to Kolkata. Because of that, they're not starting from ground zero. So that they are still holding on to Russell and Naren. Now, had Kolkata also ended up 10, maybe they would have done that. I don't know.
No, but because Kolkata has a CPL franchise. That's the problem. They for them and for Kolkata, and that's the disappointing thing, they're not really focused on IPL only. I mean, their CEO is the CEO of Red Chillies. It's not just a cricketing franchise, a movie franchise too. So he's thinking of it not in terms of winning IPL. That's just one of the goals. They want to create a brand in the Caribbean where they have a much bigger, monopoly, right? It isn't like here, where if you look at the Trinbago Knight Riders, they pretty much have all the best players play for Trinbago Knight Riders. They basically buy everyone there. So they, I think, do that and Narayan is also their captain for their Dubai franchise. So Narayan is basically their all franchise employee. So I don't think that they are going to let go of Russell and Narayan even after this.
Fair point. No, but I think that's the thing, right? So they were holding on to those two guys. And then the other thing is like Shreyas was probably definitely a huge hit for them. But
stepped in. Rana stepped in. He took responsibility.
No, Rana did a very good job as a captain, I would say. In fact, Rana the batter also stepped up. Rana the captain also stepped up, right? He had a 400-run season. And as a captain also, I think most of his...
And one thing that I really enjoyed was after 11 years, KKR demolished CSK in Chennai. And that was Kolkata's most commanding performance. They out-bowled Chennai on a Chennai pitch, and then the match was never in Chennai's hand. I mean, the moment Nitish Rana and Rinku batted, there was nothing.
No, 100%. And that's I wanted to talk about that because I want to talk about Rinku. Is that Rinku is not, when you look at the 5-6s, that doesn't happen again. And it was not just that. He has scored that again. Even in the last game against LSG, he was going to take them home. Yeah. So it's not a one shot in the pan kind of a thing. But that Chennai game, I think, is where you saw a different Rinku, right? It was not
Right.
They are 3 wickets down the power play and Rinku walks out, right? In the 6th over or the 6.5 or something is where he walks out. And from there, he plays a very matured, calculated innings because he knows we have to play, we need to get to 140. This is how we get to 140. He and Nitish Rana completely paused that chase. As otherwise, you would have thought if you get 3 wickets off Kolkata, you're done, right? And Narayan, Russell, Rinku, these guys are all just hitters. Kuch hone wala to nahi hai. And there you're going to wrap them up. That did not happen. So that Rinku that we saw, I think bodes very, very well for Kolkata because he's not just this Yusuf Pathan kind of basher saying, I will just come and hit it and go, or a Russell kind of a player. He can do the Russell thing as well, but he does really, the first class player that he is, I think he averages on the domestic season, he was like 55 60. Or something.
Yeah, 60.
Yeah, 60. He was averaging 60. So that guy showed up and took them to the game. So Rinku, like the meme for last 3-4 years is completely showed up. So Rinku has been what, Riyan Parag people would have expected to be, or an Abdul Samad, they would have the franchises would have expected to be. Rinku has been that person that everyone now has to look up to for those spots. And the other thing was, the Lockie and Shardul, right? So Lockie, okay, fine. They didn't have that many. They have 2 overseas spots that they have to fill no matter what. The other one ends up being their keeper because they don't have a keeper either. Only one other slot is left. And do you play Lockie or do you play your Roy or Litton? And so they end up doing that. So Lockie, I think, played 3 games. And even though he wasn't good in those 3 games, there was no way he could have played. Same for Saudi, right? Saudi, I think, played 2 games or something like that. Yeah, there was no way either of the guys could play. But the thing was, and if you look at KKR's best performance was the Chennai game, because that is the track that suited the bowling they had. Yeah. Suyash has been the find for them. Rinku was always in the ranks, but still Rinku, the eye in the IPL clearly stood out for KKR because I have been super impressed with Harshit Rana as well. Him coming bowling ahead of Shardul, who is going to be at the World Test Championship final bowling. Yes. But Harshit Rana was bowling ahead of him. Vaibhav Arora was bowling the death ahead of him. Right? I think Shardul has played 9 or 10 games and he's bowled less than 25 overs. That has been his output. He has played as a specialist batter in most games. I don't know if he has been injured or what. They don't tell most of these things, so we don't know.
But he's selected in the test in the World TC final. So I'm guessing.
Yeah, he probably cannot be injured. But your capped Indian player is in your team playing as a number 8, number 7 specialist batter, not bowling. And you have 2 uncapped guys in Rana and Vaibhav Arora that are bowling ahead of him, bowling in the depth. I think their Indian core is really very well set. You have Venkatesh Iyer woke up towards the end of the, later in the tournament. Nitish Rana has been doing well.
Was very good.
Varun CV in an odd year has been doing fantastic again. And Suyash. So it's that Indian core has been really, really good for them, right? It's that overseas thing and a keeper, and they'll also have Shreyas. So KKR actually, despite where they ended up in the tournament this year, I mean, they were never going to, you never expected, the moment they lost Shreyas, you were never expecting them to, be contenders and things. But the fact that even till the last week, they were still in contention with the mathematical possibility itself, I think bodes really well for them.
Yes, I think that next season, again, if Rinku Singh can keep his form, I think it's very obvious what their thing is. They need to lose Russell and they need to lose, which they won't do. They'll possibly lose Loki. They will possibly lose Loki next season, and they might lose Shardul if Chandrakant Pandit is the coach, because I don't think Chandrakant Pandit had a lot of confidence at the end. Because when somebody doesn't bowl in a game and he's a bowler, Indian bowler, he doesn't even get a ball, and as you said, Vaibhav Arora and all of these guys are higher up in the pecking order, then Chandrakant Pandit has basically lost faith in him. So I think that at this point of time, and there's another thing which I just wanted to tell you guys, I was discussing this with Max. So I was wondering why Kolkata Knight Riders let Shubman Gill go. So I was looking at some old articles and I saw an interview from Brendan McCullum, where Brendan McCullum was basically very unapologetic. This was, of course, before he kind of found his form in Gujarat. He didn't say, oh, it was a great loss for us or anything. Yeah, you know what, these things happen. There's just only so many people we could retain. And he just didn't, I mean, it was very obvious that they had kicked him out. I mean, it wasn't just a question of, oh, he wanted to stay, we couldn't arrange the money thing. No. They just let him go. And from what I understood was that they looked at his strike rate. So Brendan McCullum is like, his philosophy is that you have to score at a really insane, like just the way he batted when you came up the order. So what I understood was Brendan McCullum wanted Shubman Gill to bat a certain way, and Shubman Gill didn't. Whether he couldn't or didn't is a separate thing. But his strike rate was like 117, which according to him was like BS. I mean, nobody who's scores at 117 should be playing for the franchise. In comparison, Venkatesh Iyer had the much better strike rate, close to 140. So he said, yeah, we want that. Now, this is what I was telling Max. See, I get this, but even somebody like me who's never played cricket like in a formal setting, I mean, McCullum obviously understands so much more about cricket than me. If you look at Shubman Gill and if you look at Venkatesh Iyer bat, you will realize that there is a huge difference in class between them. And especially in franchise cricket, where you want to invest in players who can last you 10, 12 years, not just as a player, but also as a face of the brand. And Shubman Gill is possibly an amazing face to have in every respect. He's young, he's easy on the eyes. And he's obviously an extremely classy batsman. That was evident. Yes, he was scoring at 117 maybe, but why wouldn't you bet on that guy? Why wouldn't you as a franchise bet on that guy becoming better? I mean, that's really what foresight is, right? I mean, that's what investment is. You look at a stock which is underperforming. I mean, everybody can buy Apple now, but could you have bought Apple in 2000? That's the trick. So that's what you expect in a Brendan McCullum or, somebody like this, that they can, filter out the wheat from the chaff. I mean, everybody can say this guy scores at 117 strike rate, this guy scores at 140, so let's go with the 140 guy. But this is where I think, honestly, Kolkata really screwed up. So if they had just think of it, if they had just kept Shubman Gill and let Russell go, they could have bought Russell cheaper if they really wanted him. They could have bought him cheaper at the price they spent on Pat Cummins. They could have bought him at that price and had him, not had Pat Cummins, but Shardul, for instance. That price they could have bought him. Again, if they let Shardul go and they let Andre Russell go, if they really like Andre Russell, they can buy him cheap in the auction. I don't think anybody else is going to go for him. So I think that's the way forward for KKR. But again, not a terrible season. And I think that unlike SRH and Punjab, they pretty much have their problem solved. They just have to do a few minor things. Yes.
You said thirst trap, right? So I wanted to bring this to your notice. Not sure if you've seen this or not.
No, I've seen his thirst trap picture. Yes.
Just this morning, Shubman Gill has posted a photo of him out of the shower in a towel.
Yes.
Tied really, really low on the waist.
Yes.
barely covering his loins with the caption "Thirst Trap." So easy on the eye has a new meaning.
Yes, easy on that. And he's actually giving his captain. His captain is now becoming the elder statesman after his KO appearance.
Correct. And so SRK had in Darde Disco and what Shubman Gill put out today are very similar if you look at those pictures. But yes, that's what they let go. And you can see this with franchises that have not been performing well, right? In terms of players that let go. Like if you saw how SRH let go of Puran, and he has been the reason why LSG is in the playoffs now. You have Delhi lets go of Stoinis. He is the reason why Lucknow is in the playoffs, right? So when you don't give people a longer run and you make these decisions like this, you end up being on the other side of the table, and also the other side of the championship rings that you can count, and that's the reason why you're not there.
Yes, and that's the amazing thing about IPL, and that's why I love it. That management is everything. The same guy in a well-managed franchise will do well. Now, yeah, sometimes people goof up. I think Mumbai Indians definitely goofed up with their Jofra Archer investment. Now, initially, I felt it was a very good investment because they did what Dhirubhai Ambani used to do at one point of time, which is to buy broken machinery, which did not get the same amount of duty. It was basically broken by him, split into two parts, assembled here, and that's how he used to avoid the tariffs. So again, that was his genius. Now, I kind of presume this was the same thing. He was kind of broken down. Nobody bid on him, but obviously I felt they knew something that we didn't know about his injury, and that so he would magically come back saying, I'm fine now. So, but that didn't happen. And obviously his bowling this time was obviously not Archer at his best. It was I'm huge fan of Jofra Archer when he's at his best. It's an amazing guy to watch. I mean, he's the only guy who reminds me of the old West Indian bowlers of the 80s. He has that straight action, and the ball comes at the throat, aggressive guy, but he's not like a Kohli aggressive guy. He's aggressive guy in a very different way. He's a relaxed guy, but he's aggressive in the old Caribbean kind of way. So he's very cool but aggressive guy. But the last team that we want to mention in terms of the teams that have been eliminated is, of course, everybody's favorite RCB. Everybody's favorite RCB. So I'll let you, since I'm pretty sure you have a lot of opinions about RCB and Mr. Kohli, who had a very, very Kohli IPL this time. It was the old Kohli back in every respect.
Right. So again, if you go back to that preview episode that we did, right, we said that RCB made the playoffs last year with two people completely missing, Siraj and Virat. They were both just completely missing, and despite that, RCB reached the playoffs. They were number 4 and they kicked out. So all they had to do is, if one of those guys showed up, it's good.
This time
both showed up, right? Siraj is in the purple cap thing. He's been brilliant with his economy, his power play bowling. Even when they're considering 200, guys going at 6.5 and over. He's been brilliant. And Virat, has shown Virat Roop. Like his whole 2023 has been great. So everything is worked out, but then RCB has gone back to the old formula of RCB is a Davis Cup team. You only need 4 players for Davis Cup. Right? 4 players can play Davis Cup. That is exactly. You can
Hong Kong Sixes.
No, 6 chahiye na. Davis Cup only needs 4 people. Virat, Glenn, Faf, Siraj. Done. 4 people. If that was a tournament, RCB would probably be the champions of the tournament. But that is the only thing. KGF, 3 guys have showed up. Nothing. And after that, has been a sudden drop in everything. And again, like they're making a big deal. Oh, we lost Patidar. So what, man? Every other team has lost. Like Shreyas Iyer has been gone. Rishabh Pant is gone. Deepak Chahar is gone. Bumrah is gone. Every team has lost their talismanic spearhead player, and yet they are doing well and making the playoffs. So you cannot use that. And again, Rajat Patidar was not your prime player. Like he had 1 or 2 innings all season. He didn't do much. So you cannot just say, oh, he was going to change our season. So, but the Indian talent, and this is not, and I went back before recording this, I went back and looked at RCB's records through the seasons, barring Kohli, they have not had any single player who has had a season where they have scored more than 500 runs.
ABDV didn't?
No, Indian player.
Oh, Indian player. Okay.
Indian player.
Okay. Yeah.
They have not had a single Indian player in
even
all
KL
their
Rahul
years.
didn't. Even KL Rahul didn't when he was playing for them.
He is 350 or something like that.
Okay.
Which is why they dropped him, which is why they let him go and he went to Punjab and started scoring centuries and stuff. So that has been their thing. Barring Kohli, who actually has got 7,000 something runs for the franchise, the next highest is Rahul Dravid at 900 and something. Indian player who has scored, so no Indian player has scored more than a total of 1,000 runs for the franchise other than Virat. And there lies your problem. And this year that has been even bigger because they have tried Lomro, they have tried Shabaz, Anuj Rawat, all of these guys, Suyash Prabhudesai, and they have not gotten that, they have not gotten the Shivam Dubey,
I mean, they had no finish, right? Dinesh Karthik was this strange guy who was like only gets paid for playing like 8 balls. That's it. He will not play 9 balls. And he was
the Dinesh did not happen either. The Dinesh did not happen either. But again, to be fair, he did not. It's not like he lasted that many balls or anything. He's not played. Most of the times when he showed up towards the end. Sometimes he has hit. Some games he has flopped, and it's been. Again, compared to last season, yes, it has been middling, but he has not been horrible. It's not like he has had 5 ducks or something like that.
Faf du Plessis, just amazing guy. I never thought. I mean, he's just an amazing season. I thought he was dead. I initially when he was signed up to be the face of RCB, I felt this was a wrong decision to kind of take him at the once somebody leaves CSK, Dhoni has realized that there's no future for this guy in a way, right? Because otherwise Dhoni would have kept him. So once Dhoni has taken the call, I trust him. So I thought now he's going to RCB and he's going to have a terrible few years, and then as it is, a lot of talents go to RCB to die. That is also true. So that's also not a very well-run franchise, to put it mildly. But man, what a season he had.
Fabulous season. And think about it, they have got so many ex-CSK players. Hazelwood, Faf, Karan Sharma. And then in mid-season, they picked up Kedar Jadhav. For what joy, I do not know. He himself thought he had come for assistant coach job. ऐसे नहीं sir, आपको middle order में खेलना है, right? So that is how parched they were for Indian talent, that they called up the guy who was doing Marathi commentary on Jio Cinema to say, come play for us, right? That's how bad it has been for them, and they have not gotten anything. Their bowling, again, I always felt that Harshal, outside of the UAE was going to get found, and Harshal was completely there. Barring Siraj, I don't think anyone else did anything. I thought they didn't give Vanindu Hasranga too many games as much they should have. I thought, he would have done better. But Hazelwood was injured. And surprisingly, Parnell, gave them something. But yeah, that was not going to happen.
Yeah, Harshal can't. Harshal is like a test engineer being made into a chief architect kind of thing. Harshal is a support bowler, I think. You can't have him being number 2 after Siraj, right? So they had one good bowler, and then they had, at least for me watching IPL from season 1, main thing about RCB was no matter how much they scored, their bowling was always so terrible that somebody would score a 1 run more than them. It was inevitable. It didn't matter who they had, ABDV, Shane Watson, Chris Gale, Kohli at his best, didn't matter. Other guy would always score 1 more run because their bowling was so bad. And so this time, true, they had one good bowler, but I think the main failure of RCB has been their inability to develop any Indian batting talent. So Virat Kohli, again, he's obviously coming to the end of his career. Let's put it like that, right? So I'm not going to say he's going to retire in a few years, but he's obviously not a new guy, right? So they don't have what Gujarat has with Shubman Gill, for instance, or even with Vijay Shankar. Okay, who would have thought? See, this is again when you give somebody who don't expect to a well-run franchise, right? Vijay Shankar. Anybody selects Vijay Shankar, you would say are they out of their mind to select Vijay Shankar and put him at number 4. But it works for Gujarat because this is again an extremely well-run franchise. In any other place, Shami used to play for Punjab, right? Look at his record there. Look at his record in GT. Shubman Gill, look at his record in KKR. Look at his record in GT. Even somebody like Riddhiman Saha. Riddhiman Saha, again, he unfortunately is always flown under the radar because he's kind of a self-effacing kind of a guy. He's not in this age of social media. He's not a guy who will notice, but he's been a fairly consistent performer. And I think he's really come into his own in GT. I mean, he almost won a final for Punjab once against Kolkata in Eden. So that he scored a century or almost scored a century. I don't remember, but he's that good. So in GT, everybody in GT plays well. There's not one weak guy in Gujarat Titans. And again, when I look at the Gujarat Titans team, there's not a lot of exciting players. If you just look at it, you won't think that David Miller in this day and age, right? David Miller has been playing for Punjab for a long time, right? David Miller's career was kind of nobody considered him, like David Miller and Glenn Maxwell at one point of time were considered like two of the most exciting players. Glenn Maxwell still has that. David Miller's career kind of tapered away. But with GT, he plays very well whenever he gets an opportunity, whenever it goes around to him. And if you look at GT, I think it's really been Hardik Pandya who's been a terrible disappointment, if you look at his performance. So even with their marquee guy not playing and playing like Dhoni now, where, he just comes in and just writes the comment at the end of the code base and he writes this. They still have that, and call it Nehraji's genius or whatever, what have you. But
so GT, right? They have a set of podcasts they're doing with Gaurav Kapoor now. It's called GK with GT. It's on YouTube. And Nehra, there was an episode with Nehra, and he said this one thing is that, and we just spoke about the environment. He speaks, or he said that when he got the job, he said, I want to work with these set of people only. And he wanted Gary, he wanted Ashish Kapoor, he wanted all these guys because he has worked with them before. In fact, they have been the coaching setup in Bangalore. Right? They were all assistant coaches in Bangalore, and they all said, okay, we want to work together, and they're working. So they all have a very good, sync with each other. They know what's going on with each other, and that creates complete harmony. So for the team, and the thing on Hardik, right? I have a theory with Hardik is that last year Hardik was Superman. He was doing everything for the franchise. He's like, I will be this Manoj Kumar in the olden days movies. I will do everything. Kheti karunga. He would open the bowling. He would come one down. He would absorb all the pressure and say, I will do this so that, Miller, Tewatia, you guys don't have any pressure in the end. He was doing all of that and won them the final. Last year was Hardik and Hardik. This year he is like, okay, I have shown you that this is possible. We can win. Now I want to see what you can do. And that last game, right? He did not bowl. He did not bat. He was padded up. But he's like, nahi, theek hai. It's okay. Tuja. Miller, the Shanaka, you go. The Miller go. Tewatia go. And he was just like chilling on the boundary line. He was standing. It's not like he was injured. He was just standing outside the boundary line and chilling. This, I think, season is him just saying, okay, you guys do what you want to. And he actually bowled in the first 4 games. He would bowl 2 overs in the power play along with Shami. After he stopped even doing that, saying, nahi, zarurat nahi hai. Now Mohit is there, Yash Dayal is there.
Rohit Sharma, another guy who comes from nowhere. He's a net bowler and he comes from nowhere and he's like...
And this is why I think, right, and we all made fun of Hardik when he said that I have learned from the greatest captain India has produced, which is, I've taken the best of Dhoni and Virat. And that is how I'm going to be a captain. Everyone made fun of him. There were memes. I have also made fun of him. I think you also might have made fun of him. But now, if you see, he has walked the talk. He has done exactly that. Like the bowler screws up and he's laughing. Like someone drops a catch and he's laughing when someone drops a catch. Like Rashid was trying to, at the boundary, he throws it, the ball hits his leg and goes back into the boundary. He's laughing. He's not angry at anyone, right? That whole Iceman, Captain Cool thing, he has really imbibed and bringing the team together where he is saying, okay, Mohit, you come, you bowl. And look at them, man. We just spoke about RCB not having Indian players showing up. GT has the exact opposite. They have every Indian player showing up. Sai Sudarshan Aya, he will score. Vijay Shankar comes, he scores a 50. And then Abhinav Manohar comes, he scores. Gill, okay, Gill is primed for greatness. You expect that from Gill. But all of these other guys, Mohit Sharma comes, he scores. Sai Kishore has not even played a single game this year. But if Tewatia scores, Vidhiman Saha scores, their entire Indian core is scoring, which is giving them the opportunity to play a Noor Ahmed, which they would have never played. You know, if you said looked at the squad and after the auction say, will this guy they picked up for 30 lakhs at the auction ever play? Like, no, he's just going to be there as an understudy to Rashid and just here for the experience kind of a thing. No, but he plays because they have that luxury of
and he does well.
Yeah, but they have a luxury of riches that is playing that they can choose. Acha, today Alzari or Josh Little, who should play? Right? Toss. Okay, you play. They have the ability to do that, saying, okay, we can pick and choose between our overseas players to decide who we want to play. Like Dasun Shanaka. I have a theory. I don't think Dasun Shanaka is like a reservation thing. Saying, Are Kota mein aaya, isko 2 game do. I seriously have a feeling Dasun might play even at Chennai. Because he is coming from playing at Premadasa and, Colombo and all of that, which is why I think he will play at Chennai on those difficult pitches. They actually might have him, which is why I think they brought him the last 2 games.
Tomorrow's game is in Chennai, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think they're going to bring, they've let him play only because of that, saying, you play more than a Josh Little or an Alzari, we might need a Dasun. And look at that team. So if you had to list out all the different skills that are there in a player, right? Right arm fast, check, we have Shami. Left arm fast, check, we have Josh Little. Right arm super fast, check, we have Alzari Joseph. Right arm leg spin, check, we have Rashid. Left arm leg spin, check, we have Noor Ahmed. Right arm off spin, check, we have Jayant Yadav. Right arm dibbly dobbly, check, we have Mohit Sharma. Every flavor of that is possible they have. Oh, Indian left arm, check, we have Yash Dayal. They have all bases covered for any sort of pitch they encounter, they can bowl. And Ashish Nehra, right, he used to come on Cricket Buzz as an analyst. And he would always say that, game to bowler jitate hain. And he would always, and everyone make fun of him, oh, you're a bowler, that's why you're saying that. But that is exactly what he's done. He has put together this team of bowlers. They have 5 gun bowlers. It's not like, other teams, you say, okay, you have, who's the 5th option? Okay, Bracewell is going to come as the 5th option, or somewhere else, Mitchell Marsh will come as a 5th option. No, they have 5 gun bowlers. Hardik and Tewati are not even bowling.
Yeah.
Outside of them, there are 5 gun bowlers who can just come bowl 20 and any day, any of them can be player of the match. It's just crazy, man, the way they're being able to put together. And I would say this is as a result of the years Nehra ji has spent at Chennai under Dhoni and Fleming, saying that this is what I'm going to create the environment when I become a coach. This is how I'm going to coach. And it's time that Hardik has spent under Dhoni. And he said, when I become the captain, this is how I'm going to be as a captain. Both of those guys have come under Dhoni's tutelage. And they are putting together a very mini CSK team because the team is run exactly like CSK is run. There is that thing of Jayant Yadav, or I forgot Jayant Yadav or someone who says, no, it was Ashish only. He says that team mein na sab log achhe hain. That is the word he uses for everyone in his team. Team mein sab achhe hain. And everyone, if you look at the team, everyone is a nice guy. There is no hothead kind of aggro, anyone. All guys, right from Riddhiman Saha, all nice guys you will meet, somewhere and saying, hello, sir, how are you? Good boys, sitting in the front bench of the classroom. All of those guys are. In fact, Hardik was only the bad boy in that league.
At one point of time, I think he's trying
to. And now he has become the head class monitor. It's like, you bring the naughtiest kid and make him the monitor of the class. Hardik has become the monitor of the class. And now all front benchers are sitting in the team. Shami is the nicest, sweetest, nicest fast bowler you have. Alzari Joseph, Josh Little, everyone, man. Rashid Khan, he will bowl you out and he will smile and pat you and send you back. Like he will bamboozle. You have no idea how that googly turn. Your stumps are in disarray. It is the most embarrassing sight. He will just smile and spat you and send you back. That team is.
Yes, I guess they're the favorites to win. Or do you think Chennai? Do you think it'll be a final between GT and Chennai? I mean, we obviously know that LSG is not going to go ahead.
LSG, if you actually think about it, has no. Again, when we did the preview, I said I want them to be the last. I want to see them at bottom because of my disdainful hate for GG. And this season, he has proved why I hate GG so much as well. With that is, you have love for GG for obvious reasons.
We love GG. I mean, GG was the only guy who won KKR anything, and he again, the moment he left, that's it. That was the end.
But LSG, so again, going back to my earlier metric of 400 runs.
But GG does. But you have to accept, even though you don't like GG, that GG does. He is a successful captain or manager.
There is some magic that GG brings. Definitely, there is some magic. There is some confidence. And by the way,
he has his old crew like Vijay Dahiya and the people who he had at his support.
Yes.
In KKR, he brought all of them over to LSG.
No, I mean it is there, and that team, right? So if you look at GT, and like I said, you have match winners all the way from top to bottom. Like in Mumbai has like few match winners, CSK has few match winners. The 4 teams that are in the final, you can list out the match winners. List out the match winners for Lucknow, and you're like, in terms of performance, I don't know. You truly don't know. Like they had a genuine player who is now not there, and because of, I think, okay, we might get flack for saying this, but LSG's futures have turned the moment Rahul became unavailable for them.
As in they became better.
They became better. They became serious contenders the moment Rahul was not in the team anymore.
So he's the anti-Rishabh Pant and the anti the anti-Shreyas Iyer. I mean, their performance, their chances improve once he gets
correct.
Injured.
They lost their talismanic captain, franchise player, and their fortunes have become better than the worst that you would expect. Because if you look at the performances, they have been able to, all these guys have been able, because think about this. They lost Rahul. Deepak Hooda, again, capped Indian player.
Terrible season.
Nowhere to be found. And of course, Krunal Pandya is the captain, so he would have not gotten a chance even then. And yet they are able to put together, runs and all. Again, no one in that team has got 400 runs.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single player has got 400. Yet they are in the final 4 because everyone has been putting these 20s, 30s. Badoni will score a 30. Krunal is scoring a 40. Nicky P scores like 50, 40. And everyone is able to score like that.
Stoinis won a few games.
And they're able to somehow get them to this 170, 180. And then with the bowling, again, Krunal again, he has not been like a great bowler, but 4 overs 28, 4 overs 29. Right? He has been like that kind of giving you that bank of, I'm not going to concede more than so many runs. So these other guys can come and take wickets for you. And even on their wicket list, you're like, it's not like they have anyone on the purple cap list or anything. I think their highest is wicket taker is Bishnoi at 15 or 16. Right? So it's not like they have someone on the purple cap list as well. They don't have anyone on the orange cap list. They don't have anyone on the purple cap list. And yet they're contenders because their wickets have been shared by everyone. Mark Wood took 10 wickets. Bishnoi took 15 wickets. Krunal has taken like 9 or 10 wickets. And they've all contributed in terms of bat and ball to take them there. So it has been this expendables kind of a ragtag team of misfits who has come together and taken
there's
them.
an action hero, man, Gautam Gambhir. You have to accept that Gautam Gambhir does it. He's here and Virat Kohli isn't. Let's accept it.
He is here. Virat Kohli isn't.
And Naveen Haq is also here. Naveen Haq. I mean, who's Naveen? Nobody even knows who he is. I mean, but he's made his brand, right? He's made his brand now. He's part of IPL history now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but the Gambhir magic does truly exist. I have to admit.
So again, this is the thing. Some people are just able to just put together a winning side. That's it. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Like you look at Brian Lara and you look at Gautam Gambhir, right? Just compare them in terms of their ability. There's no comparison, right? But one guy is consistently, he's never been a good leader. and the other person is very good leader if he's kind of given a free rein. I mean, he always said that when he was in Delhi Daredevils, he was never given a free rein. Kolkata Knight Riders kind of gave him a free rein, and that's why he was able to get results. So I mean, he does get results. I don't know how he does it, but he basically, again, I don't see the tactical acumen sometimes of Gautam Gambhir, but the results are there. So which brings us to perhaps Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings.
One last thing though, on a sticky wicket at Chepauk, you cannot count out LSG. On a sticky wicket at Chepauk, Mishraji, Krunal Pandya, Ravi Bishnoi, and Krishnappa Gautam might be able, and Stoinis as the bowling his medium pace. You cannot count them out.
Where I think they might be in trouble is their batting against spin.
Yes. So
I don't think so. Their spinning, their bowling might be okay, but I don't see anybody there. This is where you might need a KL Rahul, because if you're in a 150, 160, 170 kind of a pitch, then KL Rahul getting a 125 strike rate 50 is what they need actually. Because I don't think Marcus Stoinis can play spin. I don't think Puran can play spin.
Peacock for sure cannot.
I don't think Huda can play anything at this point of time. So if Krunal Pandya is your best player against spin, there is trouble. And I think that is where Chennai Super Kings, if they're playing there, is because I'm guessing tomorrow Chennai is going to lose.
To Gujarat, yeah.
To Gujarat. So I think Chennai is going to lose, and they'll again play Gujarat in the finals. So they're going to come back. They're going to play them again in the finals, and then they might win. I don't know. But tomorrow they're definitely going to lose. So I don't think they can win against Gujarat.
No.
I mean, Chennai, Rashid Khan on that pitch is going to be something.
Chennai, right, has no
Chennai,
business.
Let's talk about Chennai.
Chennai has no business being in the Final Four. I will say this wearing this jersey.
We have said this for many years now. I've been saying this for many years.
No, pre-tournament,
how can they be in the finals?
Pre-tournament, they had no business being in the Final Four. But even now that we are here looking at the wins that they have had, also they have no business being in the Final Four. They did not, pre-tournament at least you thought that this was the team. Stokes was going to play, Chahar was going to play, right? Knowing that itself, we said they were not going to be favorites. After the season starts, Stokes is gone, Chahar is gone. They bring in a guy called Magala. That guy also is gone. So replacement of the replacement is also gone, right? And what is happening? And then they say, oh, we're going to get Rahane, which we also thought was going to be an impact player filling the Badrinath role. Where whenever they're 3 wickets down, they'll say, impact player, please go and take us to 140. But they unlock him. And how do I see this? They have a list that they show of power strikers or something like that, right? Players with the highest strike rate. Ajinkya Rahane is on that list of players with the highest strike rate, alongside Andre Russell and Rinku Singh and Yashasvi Jaiswal. In that same list, Ajinkya Rahane, someone who would score at 120 at Rajasthan and then at Kolkata and so on, has unleashed.
He was a big flop. I mean, they let him go. They were extremely disappointed. They were like put a lot of faith in him, and then he just couldn't do anything in Kolkata.
Correct, because last year he played the first game for Kolkata, and this year he played the first game for Chennai against Kolkata. He played in the game reverse fixture. You don't expect that. Shivam Dubey, like everyone is like, he had a terrible last season, and also in domestic, he's not like he's lit up the things or anything. They unlock him into the 6-hitting beast.
Which he originally was. If you remember, when he was first selected by RCB, he was called like the next Yuvraj, that right. He has a very similar batting style. But then of course he went to RCB, and we know what happens.
You know what I mean? And after that he's gone, and they unleash him, who's just coming and hitting sixes for fun. He is at 33 sixes for the season right now, and with at least 2 games to go, if not 3. It just doesn't make sense. Like, how they're able to unlock this. and then you lose your premier fast bowler that you bought for 14 crores. You lose another guy you bought for 10 crores. So you have 25 crores that is sitting on the bench on injury reserve. And then you get some guy
and you have Dhoni we don't know how many crores also sitting on the bench mostly.
Dhoni is playing
as a batsman.
Dhoni is this in Davis Cup. You have non-playing captain, no? Like Ramesh Krishnan used to be. That is Dhoni. I will just come and do my job.
And DRS specialist.
And then who do they get? They get some guy from Bombay called Akash Singh for some 30-40 lakhs. Matisha Patirana, some kid playing under 19 comes in for 30 lakhs. And Tushar Deshpande. So your bowling attack is now what you have purchased for less than 1 crore. Is the one that is winning your games. 25 crores is sitting on the bench. The only legit superstar you have is Jadeja, who has been performing with the ball and all of that.
But who also has had let's say a tumultuous time.
Correct. Like there were rumors that he was going to ask to be let go this season and all of that. And now he's putting up almost MVP kind of a performance for them. And they are unlocking all of this, right? Devon Conway, Gaikwad we know was good. He's been good and he's been good, but he had a very bad season last year, unfortunately. Devon Conway also had a bad season last year, right?
So Devon Conway is like one of the top T20 players in the world. So
yeah, now, and CSK does this, man. They have this thing of making sure their openers work, right from Hayden and Parthiv to Vijay to McCullum, Mike Hussey, Shane Watson, Faf. Their opening will always
Dwayne Smith.
Their opening works. And they have been able to do that now also with these two guys, which is actually, if you think about it, Moeen Ali and Ambati Rayudu have not showed up at all. They may show up in the next 2 games and make me look like a fool. But despite that, they are there. But still, all said and done, the only reason Mumbai and Chennai are there is because not their personal, but they have done well. Other teams have sucked worse. Right? Your Rajasthan, RCB have abysmal tournaments, which has helped them to go. And even now, I think if you have to bowl first, if you have to bat first, both these teams cannot defend. You saw what happened in the Punjab game. You saw what happened in the KKR game. Both of these were home games in Chennai, where they couldn't defend 140 and 160. Right? Earlier, 160 in Chennai, you lose 3 wickets, then the boa constrictor of Dhoni will just suck the life out of you. Right? And then the remaining 100 runs seems like 250. That is not happening because he doesn't have the bowling to do that anymore. So
I mean, one of the biggest things that he misses is the Dwayne Bravo of old in Chennai, that coming in the 16th over and basically bowling slow balls for the next 4 overs.
They don't have that, right? And therefore
they don't have a finisher like that anymore.
No, the only way I think Chennai can win is if they are chasing. If they are chasing, they will win. And if they're chasing against Gujarat also, they may win. You never know. If they're chasing, the team can win. Mumbai also, if you look at them,
Mumbai and Chennai chase, if they're chasing is, unless there is due, see, Rashid will be bowling on a tired pitch if they're chasing. That's the problem. Because see, the thing with Gujarat is they have very good spinner. We have a world-class spinner, the best spinner in the world, right? And he's going to come in. And the problem with, I still think that Chennai have a problem of classy batsmen in the middle, after, let's say, Gaikwad and Devon Conway. If Devon Conway and Gaikwad are gone by, let's say, the 7th over, or one of them is gone, then Rashid Khan gets into I would say Chennai's underbelly starts from there. I honestly don't think that Rahane can beat the leather out of Rashid Khan on that pitch.
And you saw, right? Suyash was having trouble against Suyash in that KKR game. So yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But if they chase, I mean, okay, they are going to lose. Not denying it. They should lose. They have to lose. They shouldn't even come this far. But their only chances if they chase. If they chase, they have a chance. If they bat first, you might as well at the toss. You might just say, Hardik, okay, chalo, we'll come play. We'll see you in the next game. They can let it go. But same thing for Mumbai also. If you look at Mumbai, right? That team should not be there. If Piyush Chawla is your premier wicket taker, and
Kartikeya, I mean, some of these names, I mean, hearing that the first time.
Ritik Shakir.
Some random guy comes in. I mean, I think if Surya Kumar Yadav hadn't played those 2 innings, they would have been out. I mean, the tournament started with Surya Kumar Yadav in a very strange place, right? That catch he missed, if you remember. Like, he wasn't even in the game. He was like standing like this. The ball came and hit his head. It was like,
and he carried his ducks. He carried
Yeah.
his first ball ducks from the ODI series.
So he seemed to be at a verge of like, you know, like what Kohli was going through a few seasons ago. Like, you know, when you knew that there was something psychologically wrong with Kohli, he got out. He was like, what am I going to do now? He made an expression. So Surya Kumar Yadav was at that point of his career, and then he just turned it around game after game after game. I mean, obviously Rohit Sharma is also a non-playing captain at this point of time.
But Rohit came to form the last game, right?
Yeah, they but there's 1 or 2 games, but I'm saying that, you know, the person who, like, the thing is Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav, and, you know, Tim David, the fact is they still have I mean, I would still say on paper, again, they're still stronger than Chennai because they have their back end pretty well covered. They have Tim David. They haven't played Devold at all in this tournament, which is strange. I don't know what happened to him. He was playing quite well last time, and I thought he was like one of their like future investments. So they've gone with
both of them. Stubbs and Brewis have not played. At least Stubbs at least got 1 game, I think.
But Tim David, of course, Tim David has been very good in BBL, and like he's a very good in franchise cricket all over the world. So that we can get why Tim David plays. But for them, Surya Kumar Yadav goes cheaply there into it. It's Ishan
but the other thing for them is, right, there you've had guys like Nehal Vadera and Tilak Verma who have stepped
Tilak Verma is not playing anymore.
He's been sick. He's been sick, and he was well only in the last game, but they didn't want to change the combination. But they might. But that's even though Surya was not in form, Tilak Verma was doing well. He was getting those 40s, 50s, and so on. Right, he was able to take them. They were doing good. So despite losing the first couple of games, even though Surya took like 4 or 5 games to show up, they were still being competitive. And David won them the game against Rajasthan. Ishan won them a game. Now, and finally in the last game, Cam Green showed up and said, "Hi, I want to cash my paycheck," and he won them a game. So chasing that team is really looking. Again, I don't think that team can play in Chennai. Same problem. All stroke makers. The only guys who can play in Chennai are probably Rohit and Tilak and Sky. But
Sky can, maybe.
Yeah, but if they somehow get out of Chennai and reach Ahmedabad, then yes, if they're chasing that, if they got to chase on the Ahmedabad pitch, yeah, that team can. You might as well give up the tournament because they're a champion team, right? It's like, and I was saying this to someone, it's like this tiger cub that you bring up, feed it grass and rice and all that. One day by mistake it bites the owner's hand, it tastes blood. That's it. Mumbai is like that. Once they are on a roll, they are on a roll. They just do that. You've seen that season after season after season. They somehow, like, and I tweeted also the other day, like 2014, May 25th, Corey Anderson took them into the playoffs. And now 21st May 2023, Cam Green takes them into the playoff. And once they go, they are a completely different beast, because teams like Chennai and Mumbai, right? When you have the chance, you have to finish them, like put the foot on the neck and kick them out. Once they come to the playoffs and all that, they are a completely different guy shows up, and they just know what to do versus a team, unsuspecting team like Lucknow or GT or someone else, right? I mean, GT has all the things going for them. I just extolled all their virtues. But if this Mumbai team has to chase against them at the Namo Stadium, yeah, it's not happening.
I would still give it to GT, because I think that GT is just, again, on paper, I get it with Mumbai, but I think the main problem that I would feel against a Mumbai versus GT matchup is I'm not even taking LSG seriously. I think they're not in this bracket. So the thing with Mumbai, and I think that in a final, and I might be totally wrong, but the captain has to lead. I mean, Dhoni showed that in 2011, but in a final, because it's a tense game, right? it's a tense game. So, that's where experience comes in. That's where, the captain has to step up. And I just don't think that Rohit Sharma, I've seen him bat. I've been saying for a long time that Rohit Sharma should be dropped. He's not Kohli. And firstly, Rohit Sharma is very old. Rohit Sharma played 2007 World Cup. People forget that. Like, everybody there has retired. Everybody except Rohit Sharma, who still captains aside. Yes, Dhoni is still there, but Rohit Sharma plays one-day test and T20. You have to understand, he's from 2007, and he's played a series before that in Australia too. So he batted with Sachin Tendulkar. So he's like 2 generations before he's been playing from that. So I just feel that in a dynamic contest between Hardik, who is at the peak of everything, and Rohit, I would think that Hardik might provide his performance in the final. He's kind of underperformed, just like Dhoni did in 2011. He didn't have a great tournament. Just people remember the final. That's why I think Gautam Gambhir is more pissed that, that all tournament, he just comes in at the very end and everybody remembers how it ends. But I would still be, I think that GT is I wouldn't say a light year ahead, but is quite a distance ahead of 100%. All the other teams. Yeah, I as a Kolkata Knight Riders fan would actually love to play Chennai now, would love to play Mumbai now than any other time in their history. I wouldn't want to have played, let's say, Chennai with a Raina coming in. Or, that if Raina bats against KKR, Raina destroyed KKR. I know, every match after match after match, because KKR never had, despite their 150k guy, KKR's bowling was meat and drink to Raina. Raina would just destroy KKR match after match. So, but this one we beat in Chennai, and that took comfortably.
Easily.
Easy defeat. That was usually the way we used to get defeated in Chennai. So I still think there is a wide gulf between Gujarat, whom we did defeat in their den, but that was again that doesn't happen. It needs something really special. So I guess we will conclude with that. My prediction is GT definitely wins this game, and the only thing is maybe in a final nobody can say, but they'll definitely win tomorrow, I feel.
Yeah, no, I agree. GT should win given the team knowledge. The only thing,
there will be a Chennai Mumbai game.
The only thing against them is that these two other teams, right, Chennai and Mumbai, they just know how to win. Yes. Because they've been there, done there multiple times. The whole thing of pressure, big game is just not there, right?
But GT has won also. GT has won one tournament also.
One, but that is the only thing that you would hold against them if they are chasing. If they are chasing, the only reason you would still even think that Chennai or Mumbai are in contention is because they have been there, and chasing is their strongest suit of the two suits that is there. But otherwise, yes, GT should win, just for the sheer talent and the form in which every single player of theirs is. GT should just win. But the only thing, if you're a Manmohan Desai fan, is you should hope for two brothers going against each other. And you have Rakhi or Nirupama Roy or someone standing there. Neeta Bhabhi can be Nirupama Roy, as two brothers are fighting for the tournament.
And both of them used to play for Neeta Bhabhi at one
exactly.
point.
And one of those, and it is her stadium. One of the stands is named after her husband. So,
one franchise after them, one stand after them.
Yeah. So her sons were there. That will be a very filmy thing. But otherwise, it should be, GT walking over whoever shows up.
The last thing that I want to say is I wish that instead of Lucknow, it was KKR. This is the reason why I believe that KKR could actually, given the two stadiums that the games are being played, they would have been contenders in those stadiums. Out of all the teams that have been eliminated, they had the spin attack they had a very easy game in Chennai, right? So they have a team for Chennai. So they can definitely, Suyash and Varun, even Narayan, now, even in Chennai, it would have been a handful for any other team, even GT. And with GT also, I think Kolkata played the best against GT. One game they won. The other game, yes, but it was basically Vijay Shankar. Vijay Shankar was the difference. I think Kolkata kind of has the team which was their weak point. But now that they're gone, I can't see GT being stopped by the.
I wanted. Remember, I pinged you on Twitter also, and I said Kolkata has to beat RR. If Kolkata can beat RR, they will make the final four. And that's what they got. They ran into
hammered by Jaiswal. I mean, that was. I think this is the kind of thing where everything turns on a head. Nitish Rana thinks I'm going to bowl the first over. I'm going to squeeze one over in. That's it. He loses the game there. He hits 24 runs. It's gone.
Yeah, but if they had turned RR, they would have been in the playoff, right? It was that. It was just that one game which I told you. If that one game happens, KKR will come through.
So we got a chance. If Butler had not taken that decision, we would have still have won in the first over. So it was two bad decisions. Well, one bad decision and one good decision from Butler. So the other thing happened. I was very happy when Butler was run out. That's it. Game is over now. Of course, my PP is gone. That's okay.
But no, this season has really been, has been fabulous. Like watching Rinku do the 5 sixes is something you don't see, especially in the last over of a game.
And then Pune, I mean, not just one time, right? That's 5 sixes, then Chennai, then hit a 4 against Punjab, and then the Pune thing where the only reason why I think he didn't win was I think he didn't take the 2 runs because there was nothing left in the tournament. If this was actually Kolkata on the verge of qualifying, I think he would have taken. He was just disappointed. At the end of the over, you could just see that he was just disappointed with the thing. And that the season's come to an end, we're losing anyways. So if it was like we were on the verge of qualifying, he would have taken those 2 runs.
Yeah, and so I will only say this one last thing is that the season has been the difference in the final four has come down to a Munkad. There is a missed Munkad by RCB, and then the team that they lost to is playing a Munkad in their 11. Prerak Munkad is at number 3 just to troll them. GG is like, okay, you missed the Munkad, I will get a Munkad in the team. He plays at number 3 for me, and he scores a 50.
Yes,
right. So that has been the difference, Otherwise, because had they gotten that Munkad in, that one run, RCB would have been. So that is why it has been so close. That every team has missed by just that much, right?
Very close tournament. Very.
Harshal Patel missed by few inches that Munkad. That is why RCB is out. Sandeep Sharma overstepped that last ball to Abdul Samad. RR is out. Okay? That's where it has come down to. And otherwise, this tournament would have been so very different. And the 2 teams that are Mumbai and Chennai wouldn't have been there. It would have been.
So it was a great tournament. I mean, it was a great tournament, and I think nowadays more or less everybody understands what playing IPL is. I mean, again, some teams are just franchises, or as you rightly put, the owner managed franchises usually end up doing the worst. But everybody is a contender at any point of time. And that's what I love about IPL. It's like the results are not that important. I'm fascinated by the way things are managed and, the kind of management lessons it teaches us. That's really the fascinating. So thank you for being, it was a very long podcast, but I love talking about IPL. There's so much to talk about. And we didn't even discuss Kohli and his fans. That would have taken another 2 hours. So thank you everybody for listening. And thank you, Max, for being on the show. Goodbye, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.